Hello and welcome to episode 2 of this Football Manager Bradford City Challenge, where I put myself in the shoes of Graham Alexander, as well as doing a few things my own way. So this episode will take you through the rest of November. Before we get started, if you could leave a like on this video, that would be much appreciated. And if you want to subscribe, go right ahead. And you can follow Bantams Online at Bantams Online on X as well. But before we continue, I'll just give you a look at the wage budget we've got. Now, this wage budget is in keeping with what Bradford City is in real life there and thereabouts, but it certainly is in comparison with other teams in the league. So we are currently over budget and will need to reduce that to be able to spend anything in the January transfer window, and that includes contracts, renewing contracts for players, which I'm sure is probably going to come into play as well. You will notice that Andy Cook is a top earner and he's on a 3-year contract, and Bradford Oliver has another year and a half to run on his. The wage budget isn't big enough for the both of them, so one of them is going to have to go, and the easiest to get rid of, I would imagine, is Bradford Oliver, so he'd probably be somebody I'm looking to offload in January. Also, Alex Patterson is very injury prone. He's got a long time to go on his contract as well. Might have to look to offload him given the amount of players I've got in that position just behind the front two. So if you bear in mind, I've already got Jamie Walker, Bobby Poynton, Clark Adore, Harry Chapman as well. I've got a number of players that can play in that role. Now, I want to illustrate this issue to you because I suspect when Graham Alexander came up with the formation he was using for Bradford City, part of the plan is Jake Young returning to the club. Look at the formation for Swindon that they usually deployed when they were playing Charlie Austin with Jake Young. They'd have the one-man Kemp behind the front two, which leaves you with a back three, 2 wing-backs and the 2 central midfielders. It isn't always the case with Swindon. There was times when they go with the lone striker, which is one option that's available to Bradford City. Here's another example of them using that same system though, which Graham Alexander and I am using. And this is primarily because I think it is getting the team ready for when Jake Young does return. But this was the other formation. Charlie Austin is on the bench there. You couldn't play all of them into that system. With Bradford City, Graham Alexander started with a 4-4-2. Based on what I've said before with the players we've got in certain positions, this makes a lot of sense when you look at the players that we've got in through the doors at Bradford City. A lot of wingers that we can utilise. We've also got the problem where we've got Walker, Poynton, Chapman, Adore, Patterson, a number of players all who would take that one slot behind the front two, whereas you could better organise it by getting 2 of those players, which are all very strong, as wingers. So here you can see he used a 4-4-2 against Notts County, and as we know, that went horribly wrong with us conceding 4 goals before half time. So from this moment onwards, Graham Alexander decided to ditch that in favour of a formation which is better suited to the introduction of Jake Young returning from Swindon Town in January, and I suspect he's had one eye on that happening and may have even got some guarantees that Jake Young did intend on playing for us again. Now, with the benefit of hindsight, that might not be the case and he might be on his way. But Walker behind the front two, it's simple maths. You can only put one player in that position. I can illustrate it better to you to show the problem we've got. So you've got 2 up front, that'd be Jake Young or Smith, and Andy Cook or Bradford Oliver. We've got 2 up front. That's going to work best for Jake Young if he returned to the team, so he could hit the ground running. The problem is we're having to play rather than 2 wingers, because we've either got to play Jamie Walker or Bobby Poynton in that role, or Chapman, or Adore, or possibly Osadebe, which is what he turned to in the first place, did Graham Alexander, and he got a bit of criticism for leaving Poynton out altogether. But if he didn't feel Poynton could be trusted necessarily in that role, I can understand why he chose not to pick him on the bench. It's really easy to think, well, have Poynton on the bench or playing, but where's he going to go? Jamie Walker is your go-to for that position. You're going to pick him every time. And then when he got injured, Osadebe is one that he chose, and as you can see, you know, he does have the attacking ability, and we know he does, and we know also he can finish when he wants to. Alex Patterson He's the man who naturally we gravitate to in that position to replace Walker, and that's what happened. But of course, Patterson got injured as well in real life. That then leaves us with either Addon, which is who he turned to for the next few matches, because he's got players there. But at this moment in time, we've got Poynton to go back on the bench, or you play Poynton ahead of him. The problem is we've got a lot of players just to fill that one position. See, Harry Chapman's there, and he's been down the pecking order. What you want to do, if you're not thinking of Jake Young coming in the door, is utilise a system where he can play his best players. And you're going to want Jamie Walker in there. You're going to want Poynton or Chapman in there as well. We've also got other players like Tulloch. So you look at it for the players that he's got available to him, you start then thinking about a 4-4-2, which is what he went to. So if we look at how that works here, while I move these, you'll see the mainstay in midfield is going to be Gilliard and Smallwood. Sorry, they're on the wrong side at the moment. I will fix that in a bit. We've got Chapman probably on the right. Walker will go on the left when he's not injured. Again, we've got a 2 up front, so this allows for Jake Young to come into the team, but not in the same kind of role that he was used to at Swindon Town. So it's not necessarily ideal, but we're playing the 2 men up front. This still allows for Jake Young to come into the team, but it could be Poynton there, can be Tulloch there, and it's a 4-4-2. Now, what we know is this looked good on paper probably to Graham Alexander because it solves a lot of the problems, and also with recruitment as well. These are where the positions are kind of overloaded at City, and it's very flexible. As you'll see, there's a number of players we can go to in case of injuries, as backup on the bench. What we found is we got absolutely hammered using a 4-4-2, and everybody was saying, oh, it's a really bad idea. Now, we knew this in practice, but in theory, it's a good idea. And I can understand why Graham Alexander chose to go for it. We've got Adam Wilson, who can also fill in any of these positions, and it gives some of these signings that we want to get playing a bit of an opportunity to play as well. As it stands with the formation we've been using, there's no room for any of these players. Tulloch, Wilson, and then the rest are having to compete for that one spot in the middle of the pitch. But here, we can change a lot of things. And part of the reason I think Tulloch has stayed at the club and not gone, like Chizumafoka, as expected. Now, I suspect this is because it's when Graham Alexander first learned that Jake Young didn't actually want to stay. And that's when he announced he was injured. So suddenly we're looking to switch formations possibly. Now, this did happen in the EFL Trophy against Derby County. And there's a few ways we can go about this now. We can look at the lone striker. We can look at an extra man in midfield, but we are a bit light in midfield. This had been Osadebi would probably slot in there, or McDonald or Patterson. Or you can go with the out-and-out attacking midfielder behind the main striker. Now, this brings back Walker into the fray, or even Poynton, and you can switch Walker there, or you can switch him out for Chapman and have it something like this. It's really, really flexible. Again, we can use Tulloch, we can use other players that are not getting opportunities because you can only fit one midfielder into that position as it stands. So there's more flexibility if we're playing 4 at the back and we can play with wingers. But again, it's ultimately a 4-4-2. Bear that in mind. So we know the 4-4-2 doesn't really work with us, so it's not ideal. And Graham Alexander, and I suspect on Saturday, might just go with the same formation he used in the Bristol Street Motors Trophy, and it worked well, as everybody agreed, because we were able to utilise Poynton, we were able to utilise Chapman, and then it'd be either Poynton or Chapman on the bench when Walker comes back, or Patterson again when he's back from injury. He's an option, and these players can play that role. But it would mean looking at the lone striker again. This now becomes an option because Jake Young has made it quite clear he wants to leave the club, or at least we think that with his injury in air quotes, and we've got different options. So suddenly what we're finding is these players that were going to be leaving, like Chapman, Tulloch, because notice how his loan didn't get terminated when we expected it to get terminated at about the same time as Afoka's did. That might well be because he had then got wind that Jake Young wanted to leave. I've got a feeling he might have been misled somewhat into believing Jake Young wanted to stay at Bradford City, and then found out late in the day after he set up the team to bring in Jake Young that in fact that's not going to be the case. Suddenly Graham Alexander has a whole different transfer window to consider, so he's had it dropped on him that Jake Young doesn't want to stay, so now he can bring wingers back into the fray and really make use of the team how he wanted to, rather than having 5 players or more competing for one position in that attacking midfield position. We've now got it more open with Chapman, Walker, Point, and all of them in there. You've got a strong bench. You can bring on another player on the wing. Adam Wilson gets to play for Bradford City. He gets a bit of important experience. We can play Oliver up front, we can play Smith up front, we can play Cook up front. Probably Cook, so we'd probably look to get rid of Verdane Oliver, and then we start having to look at different players to move on. So what I'm saying is that the Jake Young situation has pretty much thrown the whole transfer window on its head for Graham Alexander, and he has to look at what he is going to bring in next. He probably had his transfer window planned for what was going to happen then. It's all been thrown up in the air. So there's a lot to consider for Graham Alexander, and I think he has really been dropped in it. I think Jake Young has really dropped him in it. Okay, so I want you to hold that thought because it's going to come in relevant as we progress through this series. But now on to the Notts County match. This is the second game of my reign as manager. Alex Patterson, he has failed another fitness test, so he's not available yet. But we have got Verdane Oliver and Bobby Point, and both available to us. Richard Smallwood, he's back from his little knock, and so is Jamie Walker. He's fully fit and raring to go. As you can see from the positions, Bradford City are in 20th place with 18 points. Notts County, they're wanting to win to get into that top 3. So a draw will be nice from this match. I will take it. We're away from home against a very, very good side. So we've got to be realistic. We're going to approach the match in a balanced yet cautious way, so we can try and get something out of this match, because it will make all the difference. And then we've got Accrington Stanley coming up. That's a winnable game. They're in 19th. And of course, Forest Green Rovers, who are struggling down at the bottom of the league as well. They're good opportunities for getting 6 points through those games. If we can get one from this, it'll mean we've got a point from the Barrow match as well, giving us a total of 8 points. So we will be in a very strong position moving forward. Anyway, looking at the team, Cook up front, he's going to be the target forward. Smith next to him playing the role. Bear in mind, when Jake Young comes back from being on loan, that's where he's going to be. And Jamie Walker behind the front two, which is enforced because of what I talked about to do with the formations earlier. I can't fit anybody in there, so it means Poynton's left on the bench. I have no place for Chapman either. He's fully fit as well, and he's somebody I'd like to be able to get into the action. But let's move on to the match now. On the bench, we've got Sam Stubbs, Bobby Point, and Verdane Oliver, Liam Rydalch, Emmanuel Osadebe, and Kevin McDonald should just about cover the positions I need. I just want them to get out there and do a good job. Anyway, the game is underway. Andy Cook gets it underway, and Smith has the ball, who plays it to Cook, finds Gilead in the middle of the pitch. Nice little touch to Cook, that. Cook couldn't find anywhere to go with the ball, so he returns it to Gilead. Gilead outside to Brad Halliday. That doesn't go anywhere though, and Notts County get it away. Notts County on the attack now. Scott. Played back to McGregor. And there's former City player Matt Palmer. Baldwin to O'Brien. O'Brien plays it out wide. He's got a bit of space now. Will he shoot? He doesn't. He plays it in, and McGoldrick has his shot charge down. And Bradford City are awarded free kicks. So, so far, 0-0. So far, so good. Into the box now. Halliday heads, and that's well saved by the goalkeeper. It actually hits the post. Didn't notice that. And we're going to make it through to half time, and so far so good, no complaints from me. Palmer plays it forward to O'Brien to Macari. Macari returns the favour back to O'Brien, and Palmer has it, and it's just been played back. This is promising. Good interception by Lewis Richards. Gives it to Smith now. Can we do anything with this? This is interesting. Nope. Challenged by former City man Jim O'Brien. And that's out for a throw-in. Out swinging corner from Palmer for Notts County. It's headed away by Tompkinson. Macari though, the danger's not over. Palmer. Macari, shot blocked by Walker. Well done. City on the attack now. Gilead plays the ball back to Halliday. Halliday's going to look to get the crossing. He does. Coming in at the far post is Richards, and that goes straight over the bar. Now it's Notts County's turn to attack, but well played by the captain Richie Smallwood getting that back. You can City start an attack of their own. Smith now finds a bit of space, plays it to Cook. Cook shoots from distance, and that is saved by the goalkeeper. Excellent shot from Andy Cook. And Walker now with the corner, headed away by McGoldrick, but Smith down to Gilead, back to Walker, played away by Macari. So we're doing so well so far. Lewis Richards is getting a bit tired, but he's playing very well, and that was dangerous. Fired in again. Tompkinson heads away. Austin has it though. Finds O'Brien, who shoots harmlessly over the bar. Going to have to do something now. Andy Cook's going to come off. Verdane Oliver comes on. And Bobby Poynton on for Jamie Walker. See if this can change things up a little bit. Just to add a bit of extra spice up front. And Bobby Poynton gets the ball back after his free kick. Richards, Smallwood. Back to Richards, to Kelly. Kelly back to Richards. Back to Kelly again. Everyone behind the ball for Notts County at the moment. Platt, Bradford City start again. Tompkinson, Halliday now. Can he find a bit of space? He does. But his defender quickly over. But he is going to get the crossing, surely. Yes, he does. Poynton off of the bar. Oh, and it's gone in. Well, that were a bit of a farcical own goal, but it was Bobby Poynton. He shot that thundered off of the crossbar and back down. And I think it hit somebody on the arse really on the way back in. But Brad Halliday started it, and that was a thunder shot. And yep, there it does. Just hits him on the back and goes in. City 1-0 up. This is better than planned. So we're going to have to look to just try and keep hold of this. I think is going to be the course of action. Gilead attacking. Tompkinson in the box. Shoots wide. Yeah, we're going to have to do something about this just to shore things up. Rydalge comes on for the tired Richards. And that's off of the... Was that a save? And another shot. Piling on the pressure a little bit of Notts County now. Smith is going to come away with that ball though. And here we go again. McGregor. Halliday. Shoots. Good save. Just to let you know, I had a bit of a glitch in the recording there. It was all actually one move, but Notts County on the attack again. Goldrick shoots from distance, but we're keeping him down to distance shots, and Gilead is going to come off, and McDonald comes on just to tighten up that midfield a little bit, just to keep the energy in the middle is the plan there, and see if we can see this game through, because we didn't in the last game, and I don't want to repeat that, but there's still a minute to go of injury time. 7 minutes of injury time in total. Oh, and this is a chance. Scott's in on goal. Well saved by Harry Lewis. And the corner hopefully comes to nothing. No, they've still got it. Oh, deflection, but safely into the arms of Harry Lewis. And that is that. 1-0. That's even better than planned. Happy with that. If we can get 9 points out of this little run of matches, it will be good. Nothing but compliments for the team there. So that's that match over and done with. What I'm going to do next is take you straight into the Accrington game. we've got a few players struggling for fitness in this Accrington match, which is a bit of a concern that I'm having as a whole. I'm struggling to fill players into the positions they're meant to go, and this is part of what we're talking about with Graham Alexander as well, with the players available to him in this formation. In the meantime, let's concentrate on this match. Yeah, this is all part of the thinking. It's about making this formation work and trying to get some results together, and it's been a positive start as well, so I can't complain with the way things are working. And you'd imagine things will be a lot better when Jake Young gets into the action for Bradford City and comes back from Swindon, but there's no guarantees even by that respect. But it does have a lot of bearing on how this transfer window is going to be already, you know. So City attack. Richards in the action, gets a cross in. Smith has it. Can he do anything? He gives it back to Richards. Richards now, it's a chance for Smallwood. He's gone down in the box, and it's a penalty. And it's going to be Andy Cook. And he don't mess about. He dispatches that 1-0 to Bradford City, off to an excellent start, only his second goal of the season. But in this, he's hardly played any games, to be fair to him. 1-0 up, Bradford City. All looks promising. But yeah, like I was saying, I've got to look at central midfielders, possibly a left wing back, as it stands with the formation. Pritchard, good shot. These are all things that I've got to consider going into this January transfer window, and it's going to be something we'll look at in more detail. Now Bradford City on the attack again. Smallwood in bags of space here, shoots. Excellent save by the goalkeeper. Walker with the corner, headed away. Gilliard just couldn't get there and gives away a foul. 1-0 to Bradford City, half an hour gone. Things looking positive at the moment. Conville plays behind the ball at least, but it's player in space, and that was too much space given. I don't know how to pronounce his name. It's been disallowed, and that is a bit of good luck for Bradford City there. Made that pass easy for him though. Now Bradford City attacking again. It's certainly been very open this game. Smith shoots, but tame effort at the goalkeeper. Good move though. Off the post. That's a warning sign again, and there's been a couple of warning signs, to be fair, from Accrington. Andy Cook tiring at the moment as well, but he's playing really well. 7. So I'll just, with what I've said, I'll also boost his confidence. Always got to give Andy Cook a little bit of confidence, let him know he's a good player. Does get a bit of stick from the fans from time to time for not performing, and to be fair, the criticism in some quarters is, it's fair. He tends to, he does a lot of good work, don't get me wrong. When he's on it, he's on it. Smith on the attack there. And the amount of work, when you actually compare him really working, hang on a minute, let's just see what happens. When you compare him when he's working at his best to some of the games that he does have, it is night and day. And if he had the consistency, Cook, that were a glorious chance for Andy Cook there. Walker with the corner, headed away easily. But Gilliard gets the ball back. Will he find Walker again? He does. And Walker now has didn't get the ball to anybody, but what a strike from Richie Smallwood. Absolutely thundered that one in. What a goal. Take a bow. Richie Smallwood, the captain there. Just look at the technique behind this. Puts his laces through it, smashes it into the back of the net. And that's 2-0 to Bradford City. But what a strike. And now we can start making some changes. Again, I'm not a big fan of having to substitute my centre-backs, and that's something I've had to do. I'm going to take Cook off and put Verdane on now and put Bobby Poynton in there too. Gives us a few fresh legs just to pile on a bit more pressure in those areas, maybe we can push on and get a third. Coyle comes away with it, and now Accrington look to attack, but Richards wins that back. Well played. Richards really starting to prove his worth in that position, by the way, and it's getting hard to pick Rydalge over him, but I'm just going to mess about with the formation now just to tighten things up. Oof, that was close from Richards. And McDonald now comes on for Tyler Smith. I'm just going to shut up shop now and have done with it. And that's it. Surely that's it. There's still time for a last attack. And Pritchard's chasing it, but he don't get there in time. And that must be that, surely it is. And Bradford City win 2-0 against Accrington. I am very pleased with that. And look at some of the scores there from the players as well. A good all-round team performance, that. Quickly, Bradford City now up to 16th, 24 points on the board. We can see a chink of light that the playoffs might be in sight. Next episode, we're going to head to the end of December and into the January transfer window, where the main talking points are Jake Young and Harry Lewis, because there is a bit of Football Manager reflecting real life coming up in that. Even I wasn't expecting it. But there's problems to overcome with the transfer budget and the wage budget, most importantly, which is something I have to free up. I've got things like the contract of Brad Halliday to think about, and Matty Platt running down his contract. All of this to solve. It'll be interesting to see how much of the things that I'm experiencing are experienced by Graham Alexander. And I give you a clue, there's a transfer fee coming in January, which, let's say, is of zero help to me whatsoever. So if you want to find out what exactly I'm talking about there, hit the bell notification if you're already subscribed. If not, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and don't forget, in the description is the link to the update so you can run the same Bradford City update yourself on Football Manager. And if you haven't already seen it, there is the tutorial from part 1 on how to set that up so it works exactly how it should. You can follow Bantams Online at Bantams Online on X, and all that's left to say is thanks a lot for watching, and I will catch you later.